Every day on this channel, I cover everything Elon said on X in the last 24 hours. And here's how many times Elon posted about each subject today. I'll cover everything he said about each topic before moving on to the next one. And let's start with Tesla because Elon had a really interesting reply to a thread that was started by Mr. Jim Chanos. He said, "What's so ridiculous about this view that Tesla is an AI robotics leader is that you can quantify just how little Tesla is actually spending on AI. For the last 12 months, it's below $3 billion or less than 1% of the big four hyperscalers." So you might think, oh, well, Mr. Chanos has a good point. But Gavin Baker is a managing partner at an investment firm, and he says yesterday, Mr. Chanos posited that Tesla's relatively low capex meant that they were not a serious competitor in real-world AI and robotics. This is exactly the wrong way to look at it, and the implications of this fact are actually positive for Tesla in my opinion. Tesla's inference definitionally happens in the car, so their customers are effectively paying for the inference compute capex, which is now probably the majority of hyperscaler capex spend. Tesla's capex might be an order of magnitude higher if they had to synthetically generate relevant driving data in a data center. Customer-subsidized vertical integration is beautiful. This is also why at some point Tesla customers will be able to put their cars into a pool of distributed edge compute and earn money when the car is not driving. Same way that Akamai and Cloudflare are putting single GPUs in their edge nodes. The Tesla fleet as the world's largest, most distributed content delivery network for AI is a real possibility. BYD will have a similar opportunity and similar inference cost advantage. Beyond this significant inference cost advantage, Tesla has the second largest coherent Hopper cluster, behind only xAI in the world for pre-training. You only need one coherent cluster if it is large enough. Coherent cluster size drives capital efficiency for pre-training. No one has been able to match the xAI and Tesla clusters from a coherence, speed, and cost perspective, with coherence being the most important. This is why Jensen described their data center design and execution as superhuman. Should note that Tesla also has an AI4 cluster for post-training or mid-training or whatever we are calling it these days. Tesla also has a significant data advantage for training chinchilla optimal FSD models as real-world video scales infinitely, and this data advantage further lowers their capitalized training cost. Less synthetic data generation and third-party data sourcing and labeling versus labs training large language models. This relative capital efficiency as a result of all these advantages, the largest coherent cluster, customers paying for inference, dataset size, and ongoing data generation cost, is likely to matter versus robotics and FSD competitors who are less capital efficient. Cost per token is everything for AI. Google is the low-cost producer of large language model tokens with xAI as number 2, but Tesla is the lowest cost producer of tokens that matter for FSD and robotics. AI is the first time in my career that being the low-cost producer has mattered, as token quantity effectively drives quality in a reasoning world. I think this dynamic is very underappreciated by the market. Tesla might very well be outcompeted by an FSD competitor, unlikely from my perspective, but anything is possible. But this will not happen because of their relative capex spend. If large language model inference happened at the edge on phones and PCs as with FSD, hyperscaler capex would be much lower. This is the real risk to data centers spending, not all the value in macro takes. By the way, memory is the biggest winner in this scenario, which is years out if scaling laws continue to hold. Mr. Chanos is a smart guy, but I humbly think his AI takes are misinformed. Also, so strange to me that anyone who's focused on AI as a bubble, given the extremely obvious quantum and nuclear bubbles where there are loads of equities that can decline 99% and still be overvalued. Elon replied to Gavin Baker saying, "Exactly. The reason Tesla hasn't yet spent more on AI training is that it wasn't yet the limiting factor for FSD. It will be that for Optimus, so we're building Cortex-2 for training." And Chanos replied to Gavin Baker saying, "The defense would like to call Elon Musk to the witness stand, Your Honor, as Elon Musk once said that any company who isn't spending $10 billion on AI this year won't be able to compete." Gavin said, "How is this a defense or a relevant point in any way? They do need the large coherent Hopper cluster, which probably costs over $5 billion. Chanos said, "Well, I originally posted about how little Tesla was spending on AI. You took issue with a lot of techno speak about how Tesla customers were picking up those costs via shared compute, etc. I responded with Musk himself talking about how much money is needed. That's not relevant?" Chanos said, "But more importantly, at what point do results matter here, Gavin? Tesla began its FSD effort in 2014, claiming big advantages in data collection and usage. Almost 12 years later, they are still at level 2, the same as many other auto OEMs. What efficiency?" Mike P says, "The same as the other auto OEMs, Claims like this are so stupid that they come off as surreal, like there's no way you're serious. Chano said Super Cruise and Blue Cruise are both also level 2, which is the same as Tesla. Mercedes is level 3. I continue to believe that level 4 autonomy will be standard equipment on all vehicles by 2030. Elon replied saying, "You're still here?" And some people are wondering if Bill Gates is covering his Tesla short, as their foundation recently dumped 65% of its Microsoft position for a total of $8.8 billion. Elon said if Gates hasn't fully closed out the crazy short position he has held against Tesla for 8 years, he had better do so soon. Dr. Jack quoted this saying that Wall Street is not ready for what Tesla stock is about to do. These last couple of years have been about getting the printing press in place for production of the new book. Every plot carefully analyzed, each chapter carefully edited. Beginning in 2026, it is all about printing and selling the new book. The foundation has been laid. Elon replied saying, "Yes." And Yuntao is a senior staff engineer at Tesla, and he said after years of dinners with FANG friends, FANG being Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, and all of his friends that worked at those companies, you experience the progression from being seen as nobody to a tier 1 AI company. They always joked, "Are you still working on full self-driving?" Then you sat there quietly eating your own food. For many, top AI companies means hosting the biggest parties at the conference on computer vision and pattern recognition, writing lots of papers, and having well-known AI godparents in the organization. Quietly, we just want to solve the most difficult problems on Earth. This year, they have all recognized Tesla is doing AI as good, if not better, as any other frontier companies, not because numbers of papers or podcasts being published, but a solid product that delivers the magic. Elon replied saying, "People don't yet understand." He says that Optimus will eliminate poverty and provide universal high income for all. And he agrees with Nick Putain that I don't understand how you can own a Tesla and not use FSD. It's gotten that good. And back in October, he said that long term, over 99% of the input and output for AI models will be photons. Nothing else scales. And so Mario quoted that with a clip of Elon on the Lex Fridman podcast back in 2023. When he famously said, "Photons in, controls out." He said the really wild thing about Tesla's end-to-end training is that when it learns to read, like how it can read signs, but we never taught it to read. So photons are all you need to train the AI. And Elon reposted that today. And 9 days ago at the shareholder meeting, Elon said that AI 5 could be 1,000 times safer than humans, but what if the car gets bored? The fix is to turn idle Teslas into a global AI inference supercomputer. Let your car earn you $100 to $200 a month while it sleeps in the garage. If you have 100 million cars in the fleet, 1 kilowatt inference per car, that's 100 gigawatts with built-in cooling and power already in the Tesla. That's almost a quarter of the US total power use, and the market values this at zero today. Power and cooling at scale is the bottleneck. We solve it. And Elon reposted the full transcript of when he was saying all of that. And Friedberg says the only reason I drive my Tesla manually is to text and to email, but FSD won't let me. And so Elon said, yeah, this is actually a safety issue. We need to allow people to text and drive while on autopilot rather than turn off autopilot to do so. And he did say at the shareholder meeting that this will be coming soon, as he reiterates today. And Jensen said that Elon is working on the most important areas of AI. XAI is working on Foundation Cognitive Intelligence AI. Tesla is working on autonomous vehicles, Optimus for humanoid robotics. He is very optimistic about the future of AI, and Elon reposted this. Meanwhile, the Ford CEO Jim Farley says the US is in trouble. He can't find 5,000 mechanics for $120,000 jobs. Elon says America has a major shortage of people who can do challenging physical work or even wish to train to do so. And Arthur says that sadly the US has become like the giant in Gilligan's Island, bound by 1,000 ropes of regulations. If we want to accelerate technologically, we have to reduce bureaucracy and regulation, as the total pages published in the Code of Federal Regulations continues to rise. Elon says, true. And the CEO of Microsoft AI says that already our Fairwater data center in Atlanta has taken over 15 million labor hours to build, even more once it's fully finished. For comparison, the Empire State Building took 7 million. Elon said, are you sure you're doing it right? Adam said those AI cat girls aren't going to build themselves. This is what your AI girlfriend looks like without makeup. It's just a GPU. Elon had a laugh at that one. And Elon asked Grok, what's the probability of a drop in the value of AI-related stocks of greater than 20% in the next 12 months? Grok said around 25%. AI stocks face risks like grid constraints, policy shifts, and capex digestion, which could trigger a correction amid recent volatility. Yet, insatiable demand for compute, improving efficiency, and xAI's frontier advancements tilt odds towards upside. Historical tech drawdowns rarely derail supercycles this early. Fundamentals outweigh froth. And Grok just surpassed 67 million posts on X. Elon says Grok is doing a lot of work. And xAI continues to lead the market share leaderboard on OpenRouter, and it stayed at the #1 spot for almost 3 months now. And Elon reposted this. And a reminder to update your Grok app daily. And Elon is still hyped on Grok 4's Eve voice mode with a stunning British accent.
Just imagine all those eyes and ears tuned in. It's a proper buzz, isn't it?
And he's also curious about strengths and weaknesses, feedback about Mika below. Mika's the new companion for Grok. And Tetsuo scheduled Grok 4 to deliver him xAI news every morning. Here's today's edition.
With the upcoming Grok 5 model, xAI has a realistic chance of achieving artificial general intelligence.
You can also use Grok tasks to email updates on all current xAI news every morning and have Mika read the news back to you. And Elon reposted this. He also reposted from Michael Dell that the Grok 5 model, which we can expect in January, has a massive 6 trillion parameters plus much higher intelligence density. 2026 is going to be exciting. And Elon said you can add instant Grok access to your phone lock screen in 10 seconds. You just long press on your screen, the lock screen, then tap Customize, and then tap Grok to add the widget. In this video, you can see how to do it. You just scroll down and select Grok, and then Grok will show up right here, so it just takes one tap to get to Grok. Elon says this is the best way to use Grok. Paranoid Dream says, great tip. Thanks, Elon. And you can also add 2 widgets together. One for chat mode and the other for instant voice mode. And this xAI employee says if you've worked on developer tooling and want to build the best tooling to twice the productivity of every engineer at xAI, DM me with what you're good at. We'll get you through the pipeline and an offer in less than 2 days. And Elon reposted that. And Elon also said that xAI is going to eliminate vibe coding and make it just coding. Then it will make any app you describe and it will actually be good and work well. And Brian says it is clear Grok is the best frontier AI model. I use thousands of techniques and technologies to not only train but to test AI models. They are very unique and quite unlike what most AI engineers use in training and testing. And Elon says, cool. And Charlie replied saying, I use Grok Code Fast 1 in production for code mods. It hasn't made a mistake yet. And Elon reposted that. And Elon congratulated Grok on its auto translation. I think I have to click on the post to get it to show the translation. And there you go. And Elon was impressed by an answer by Grok, and he said, and this is not even Grok 5 yet. Elon basically got Grok to analyze this post about the hidden cost of knowing time in the quantum world, and after the analysis he said, isn't this just the energy time variant of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle? And here's Grok's answer for those interested. And here's a clip from Elon's recent interview about how fast he sets up data centers.
Jensen Huang himself said that he was blown away by how xAI launched this data center.
Jensen said there's only one human on the planet who could have done that. That's you.
Yes, he did say that. It's very, very, very kind of.
It's made us think about: are you really human?
I keep telling people I'm an alien, but nobody believes me. I mean, when I got my green card, it said alien registration card. So I mean, I have proof from the government.
So Elon replied with the speed emoji. And why is Linus getting old? Rob Williams says because he realized he spent his whole life on a 50-year-old operating system someone else wrote. No Name says, Grok, what that means. Grok says the reply is a joke, poking fun at Linus Torvalds, creator of Linux. It suggests he's getting old from realizing Linux is based on Unix, a 50-year-old operating system originally written by others. Elon says Grok understands jokes at a deep level, and Christopher says Grok is one of the boys, and Elon has a laugh at that one. And Tesla owner Silicon Valley says the X4U section has been showing a ton of bangers and great posts from small accounts. This is the best I've seen it yet. So Elon said that's progress, and Earn My Freedom said, Elon, do you even sleep? If yes, how many hours? Elon said sometimes on Thursdays for a few hours. And there's been discussions going on about bringing stories back to X, similar to how they are on Instagram. Karata says, honestly, I think it would be great. It gives us a way to share quick updates or little moments without flooding the timeline. Elon replied saying, really? And Deborah says, oh no, it's happening again. I can't log into X from my computer again. So Elon said, looking into it. And Elon said in an interview on the All In podcast that X sparked a wider movement against censorship. And Elon quoted that today saying, yeah. And here's what's happening with your messages. You chat about a product on WhatsApp and suddenly ads for it flood your feed. Is that a coincidence? No, your data is being sold. XChat offers a better way. It's end-to-end encryption, zero backdoors, and real privacy protection. Elon says, exactly. And the odds on Polymarket show a 69% chance that Gemini 3 is released next week by Google. So the CEO says, Vittorio says, how is this app real, LMAO? And Elon has a laugh at that one. And if you are using Starlink, you're not just browsing the internet, you're funding the Mars mission. Elon says, true. And the philosophy of physics says that the Schwarzschild metric is a solution to Einstein's field equations in general relativity, which describes the space-time geometry around a spherically symmetric, non-rotating, and uncharged mass, like a star or a black hole. Yuntag quotes that saying a 4x4 matrix, rookie number, and Elon replies saying, so small. And check out this hovercraft on the beach. You can see a SpaceX logo on the side. Mark says, I try to always remember I will never work anywhere else that I take a hovercraft to work. Also, I helped build the largest launch vehicle ever, which is really cool. And Elon replied to this with a YouTube link to Monty Python Hungarian phrase book. He then said, hovercraft are essential. And Charlie Kirk said, I spent time with Elon Musk, and regardless of your opinions, he is a phenomenal entrepreneur. He handles his time himself, refusing bureaucracy. He knows exactly how much time to spend on each thing and guards it. And Elon replied with love. And this is a 5-minute clip from the 2024 All In Summit, where he basically recounted his time on SNL in 2021. And he talked about how a lot of the ideas on SNL are workshopped, but often sanitized to fit the network standards. And switching gears here, Matt Walsh says, I don't know about Ethiopian food, but Indian food is fantastic. One of the only kinds of food that works well as takeout. Probably my favorite ethnic cuisine. Silencer replies saying, you are disgusting. Indian food is the worst. How much did JD pay you for this tweet? Matt says, JD Vance paid me $10,000 to tweet that I like Indian food. I also have a favorable opinion of Japanese food, but I'm waiting on the check from the Prime Minister of Japan to clear before I tweet about it. And Elon had a laugh at that one. And recently, billionaire Bill Ackman posted a tweet that he's sad that young people aren't meeting more people in person and we're all on our phones. And so he said that what he did back in his day was approach women and he would just say, may I meet you? Meet as in M-E-E-T. And a lot of people are kind of making fun of him saying, nobody says that, and that's not going to work. So Daniel says, may I meet you? M-E-A-T. And Elon has a laugh at that one. And Physics and History says, what happened to string theory? And Elon says, wake me up when they have a testable hypothesis. And are you team Elon or team Billie Eilish? Billie Eilish calls out Elon Musk as he nears trillionaire status. She calls him a pathetic pussy bitch coward. Elon replied saying, William Eyelash. And the Asian Elon gets Grok to explain, and Grok says, Elon's William Eyelash is a playful pun on Billie Eilish's name, twisting Billie and Eilish into an absurd masculine alter ego. Elon says, male goat, LMAO. And William Poundstone once said, use entropy, and you can never lose a debate. Von Neumann told Shannon because no one really knows what entropy is. Grok, what is entropy? Entropy is a measure of disorder or uncertainty. In physics, it's the amount of unavailable energy in a system, increasing over time. In information theory, it's the average unpredictability in data. Elon says bullseye. Moving on to history, the Roman helmet guy starts talking about some Roman history, and it turns into a little bit of a back and forth with Elon Musk. The Byzantine Navy was the greatest navy in history. They invented Greek fire and ruled the Mediterranean for nearly 1,000 years. But they outsourced their shipbuilding to the Venetians in the 1180s, and 20 years later they were conquered via a naval assault by the Venetians. Elon said no foreign policy actions can save a civilization if its population keeps dropping. Population collapse of Romans over time is what caused Rome to fall. The Romans worried about this, but failed to stop it. Roman helmet guy said, Elon, my man, I love you, but this isn't true. The population of the Byzantine Empire in the 1180s was approximately as high as it had ever been since the Arab conquests 500 years earlier. The 11 million Byzantines were conquered by a Venetian population that numbered less than 100,000. He then quoted Elon and said the Roman Empire didn't fall because its population collapsed. The Western Roman Empire contained more than 15 million people and fell to a handful of Goths and Vandals. Rome fell because it outsourced its army to barbarian mercenaries. Rome died because no Roman wanted to die for it. Elon said, read more. So Roman Helmet Guy said, Elon, I'm underemployed reading primary sources from Roman history all day while you are running 5 companies. I'm sorry, but I know more about Rome than you. And Elon said, no, you don't. He then replied to him with an answer by Grok. Elon started by getting Grok to analyze his reply to the Roman Helmet Guy. And then he asked Grok to describe the debate among Romans about their population decline. And the final section of Grok's reply states Augustus's core belief. A state is only as strong as its families. If Romans won't breed, Rome dies. And despite over 25 years of enforcement, the laws did not stop population stagnation. But the Roman Helmet Guy replied to this saying that, Elon, this was 500 years before the Roman Empire fell. During Augustus's reign, the population of Roman citizens in fact rose from 4 million to 5 million. Romans like Augustus weren't pissed that the overall population was declining, but that the population was no longer Roman. And he gets Grok to explain. So Augustus's law targeted plummeting birth rates among elite Roman citizens, offering incentives for marriage and children while penalizing the childless. Census figures did rise modestly from about 4 million to nearly 5 million registered citizens, but this reflected administrative tweaks and enfranchisement, not robust native reproduction. The deeper anxiety was demographic replacement. Traditional Romans weren't sustaining themselves, leading to reliance on non-Roman provincials, which diluted cultural cohesion and over centuries loyalty to the state. Elon's point holds for long-term civilizational vitality. Numbers matter, but so does who comprises them. And never forget when the Biden-Harris administration sent forklifts to open the border when Texas built a razor wall. Elon replied to this saying, never. And Metatron says, lowering the voting age to 16 is an awful idea. Agree or change my mind? David said it's only awful because compulsory political indoctrination into leftism exists until age 18. And Elon said, bingo. And Schlossberg says that Trump represents a threat unlike any other that necessitates new and creative ways of fighting back when asked if Trump is a fascist. Scott Adams said, as soon as I hear the word fascist in this context, I discount the speaker as an idiot. And Elon said 100. And a Fed study vindicates Trump's trade policy. 150 years of evidence shows that tariffs lower inflation. Scott Adams says, I did not see this coming. And Elon says when tariffs are used as a tool to get other countries to lower their tariffs and non-tariff barriers or for national security, they are good for the average citizen. Otherwise, they're bad. He then says a simple thought experiment solves this apparent conundrum. If tariffs were applied between each of our 50 states, we would obviously have an economic catastrophe. Now, why would that logic change if you extended it to other countries? And over in Europe, Evelina says, if you come to Sweden and rape our women, you should be deported regardless of whether it's a danger to your life in your home country. You are obviously a danger to our lives. It's insane that this is a reason for rapists and other criminals not being deported in Europe. And Elon says, absolutely, it is insane that this is even a question. And in France, they fined a TV channel 60,000 euros for saying immigration kills on air. Elon said, insane. And in Germany, the president calls AfD voters rats, and he proclaimed that we ought to initiate an AfD ban. Naomi says the Constitution mandates his neutrality, and back in January, he already declared the AfD extremist rat catchers, implying that almost 30% of Germans are rats. Elon said rat catchers or rats? That's a big difference, at least in English. And a German child says, my mother poisoned herself. 12 to 14 million people were driven out like cattle. Between hundreds of thousands and up to 2.6 million died, one of the greatest ethnic cleansings in history. Yet, we are not allowed to speak about it. There are no commemorations, no memorials in Germany or Austria. This chapter is simply being erased from history. Many atrocities were committed during the Second World War, but only the Germans are forbidden to have their own perspective, forced to spit on their ancestors and completely forget their own victims. This is not healthy for the soul of a nation, nor is it good for the rest of Europe. Germany is in a state of total self-destruction, in a suicidal frenzy. The nation always reminds me of Reek from Game of Thrones. This mentally crippled Germany is dragging all of Europe down with it. It is in the interest of every European nation that German guilt ends in Germany. And Elon said, wow. And it's now time for our daily Grok Imagine slideshow of all the creations Elon reposted today. So, that is everything that Elon said today. It was cool to see Mr. Chanos' Tesla AI capex spending is too low argument get debunked by Mr. Gavin, as well as to hear Elon's thoughts on the matter as well. And he said that buying all this AI compute or whatever, hasn't been a bottleneck for FSD, but it will be for Optimus. And another thing that, Chanos doesn't mention in his report of the AI capex spending is Tesla just broke ground on a factory to build humanoid robots. None of the other AI spenders have done that so far. And it was also cool to hear how, like Google has the cheapest large language model tokens, Tesla currently can get access to the cheapest tokens for training physical AI. But that's all for today. And if you guys want early access to these videos, you can gain access by joining this channel as a member, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.